Hello and welcome to Off My Shelves, and welcome to part 2 of what's looking likely to be a 3-part series where I custom bind my Usagi Yojimbo IDW comic collection. Now, if you haven't seen the previous episode, then 100% watch that before this one, because this one isn't going to make a lot of sense to you if you haven't watched that previous one. So I'll leave the link in the description below, then come back after that's done. But this is going to be quite a quick video where I go over 1 or 2 of the things that I either missed or didn't mention or said I would mention in that previous video. So we'll get underway. So yeah, in the previous video I was telling you about how I was sending off 20 comic issues to bind and going through a few bits and bobs about how I would do that. Now I have since posted off all 20 issues of my Usagi Yojimbo comic collection to the bindery, and they are binding it as I speak. Now it's going to take the whole process around about 4 weeks to complete on a good day, but obviously during the pandemic and all that, the time frames will probably change and shift a bit. So yeah, expect it to be a bit delayed. But one of the things I didn't mention in the previous episode that I wanted to touch on quickly is I'm binding 20 issues, and I did mention about how you can bind trade paperbacks and other things like that. What I didn't mention is how binders have a limit on the amount of issues or thickness of a particular book. So certainly before you send off a big wad of comics, contact the bindery or go on their website to find out what the limitation on thickness and comic issues is. Generally, I think Spink and Thackeray give a guidance of about 26 or so issues. You can't basically make this. You can't just give them 10 trade paperbacks of the Big Dancing City, for example, and then ask them to bind it. They have got limitations. So to touch upon what we discussed briefly last time is I wrote a cover letter saying exactly what I wanted. So I mentioned about the bookend pages, the colour of them, the colour of the ribbon, the style of cover I want, a full graphic cover, how I want the issues ordered. Now sometimes you might want the issues ordered numerically or in continuity, because it doesn't necessarily mean in number order is in continuity order, because sometimes some issues will give background. Take for example, if you were doing Scott Snyder's Batman run, you might put issue 0 at the start or the end rather than midway through the run. So it depends, but certainly be specific about how you want them ordered. Don't just pile them in any old way and expect them to know, because mistakes will be made. Say specifically how you want them ordered, whether you want the covers taken off, whether you want the adverts taken out if possible, all that type of thing. The other thing as well that I didn't mention that I wanted to get out there is you can send trade paperbacks and single issues and mix the two if you wanted. So say for example I only had issues 12 to 14 of Usagi Yojimbo, but there was a trade paperback before that collecting the issues earlier. I could get them to take the cover off that, bind it, and then bind the other comic issues in. Now obviously that's not ideal every time, because the paper quality and sometimes size will vary, but if it is something you want to do, you can certainly do that. A major thing that I forgot, which some people might want as well, is this episode should be called What I Forgot in the Last One. But anyway, rounded spines and flat spines. I haven't found a bindery yet that does actually flat spines, and obviously everyone prefers rounded spines for the most part, but if you did want a flat spine, you're probably going to have to search and shop around quite a lot, really, because I certainly couldn't find any British-based ones that do flat spines. They were all rounded spines. Now that's covered pretty much most of what I forgot in the last episode. Now time to go over the pricing, really, and the pricing will vary gigantically depending on what country you're doing this in, who you're ordering from, the quality of work you're getting, what you want, all that type of thing will alter gigantically. So don't take this as a benchmark of cost. When I sent it off, I specified, like I said, that I wanted it sewn binded, that I wanted a full graphic outer cover. So I'm going to send them an image which I showed in part 1, and they are then going to glue that and attach that to the boards. I specified for black end papers as well, and a black headband and ribbon, just to match with the black colour, because it's kind of red, black, yellow colour scheme going on, really, and I didn't want red end pages and a red ribbon. I wanted them black, so specified that. All of that for Spink and Thackeray came under one price essentially, and that was £32 for that. So I sent them off and all that. The one thing I didn't do this time, which I possibly should have done, but I didn't really want to and might have. I was in two minds. I was doing a contents list, and you can certainly do that and they can add that, but obviously you design that yourself unless you pay them more to design it for you, and then that gets printed and worked into the book itself. But you can do a contents page. I didn't this time, and who knows whether I'll regret that, God knows. But then the £32 flat rate for this graphic cover, it also gets the addition of postage and packaging, and this is where you've got to really keep an eye out, because a lot of the British based, and I can only speak for the British based binderies, they have a flat rate of shipping which is quite high, normally somewhere between £15 and £20, and this is mainly because they want you to do bulk orders. Basically, if you send like 2 or 3 books to them, it'll still be the same rate of shipping. I only ever tend to be able to concentrate on one bind at a time, and so my postage and packaging is like £18 for this, which is ridiculously high. But again, I knew that going in, that it was a flat rate, and so the overall cost of the book with VAT and all that is £54.20. In an ideal world, I would have definitely, if I had other things that I needed binding, sent off 2 or 3 and got them all done. But I am impatient and I am pretty stupid, so I just went for it. But certainly try to figure out the postage and packaging and see if you can maximise the cost of it by sending a few at the same time. It would be my advice. Don't do what I do, do what a sensible person would do. And that's it for this little brief part, to be honest. Part 3 is going to be when I get the book back and do an unboxing and look over the final product, really. So certainly this is the kind of calm before the storm, maybe, of it going right or wrong. Either way, I hope this is helpful to some people. Certainly check out part 1, and part 3 will be along as soon as I get a book and we'll unbox it together. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this has helped, and I will catch you on the next one.